Greetings everyone, my name is Gigi and this is Let's Build, wherein I build an interlocking block set, time to different media, and talk about the facts concerning the topic of the build. Today's build is the Koroks building set versus the Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. The footage I'm using from this game is for science, educational, and research purposes. My content is transformative and protected under fair use. All footage is time-lapse with commentary. There will be spoilers for Legend of Zelda games. You have been warned. Specifications of this block set. Nyahaha! You found me! Restore game details. The Koroks building block adapts an unique design and restores in the game in the form of building blocks. That is odd how they put that. It is not only a toy, but also an exquisite replica. Every detail has been carefully designed to ensure it's as close to the in-game original as possible. Let's follow the protagonist's footsteps and get more Koroks to expand our game backpack. High quality and compatibility. The Koroks building set is made of ABS plastic certified to international environmental standards and tested by ASTM F963-17 and CPSIA, ensuring that all building blocks are easy to connect and fit together tightly, while being compatible with all brands. It's not. So you can use your imagination and creativity to build your own building block. Exquisite display piece. 5 characters building block sets come with a beautifully crafted base filled with flowers and grass, some of which have transparent pillars installed to make them appear to be flying. The exquisite packaging and unique design make it a highlight on every game fan's desk. Excellent collectibles. This game merch set also provides collectors with unique collection value. It not only restores the characters in the game, but also integrates the legendary stories in each game. Each building block is carefully designed, making sure the building process is fun yet challenging. Whether you are a game fan or building block enthusiast, this product will help bring you endless fun. Now this set goes into the build without any fanfare. The Koroks, also known as the Forest Sprites, or Forest Spirits, are a race from The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, and The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Their home is the Forest Haven, and they evolved from the Kokiri species. In Breath of the Wild, they are native to the Great Hyrule Forest, and most live around the Great Deku Tree in the Korok Forest, where they assist him in guarding the sword that seals the darkness. Since it was entrusted to them by Princess of Hyrule herself during the Great Calamity. They also share a very close relationship to fairies. Their culture. Most of the Koroks spend most of their lives far away from Forest Haven, planting the seeds of the Great Deku Tree. They only return to Forest Haven once a year for the Korok ceremony, held when the Great Deku Tree bears the seeds that they will transplant near and far across the kingdom of Hyrule. The only Koroks who do not leave are Makar, who plays his little leaf violin at the ceremony in preparation of becoming the Sage of Wind, and Hollow, who studies potion making to concoct brews from Boko Baba seeds. In the Breath of the Wild, the Koroks live in Korok Forest under the Great Deku Tree at the center of the Great Hyrule Forest region. During the side quest, The Lost Pilgrimage, it is shown that young Koroks take the Korok Trail to reach Dag Choka Shrine, located in northwest portion of the Great Hyrule Forest, which is part of the Lost Woods as a rite of passage. It also implies that some Koroks like Tasho and Oki are related, and that some of them may actually be the grandchildren of the Great Deku Tree. While Koroks are not shown to be capable of fighting themselves, they can craft shields and weapons much like the Kokiri. They use forest materials such as wood and vines to create them, such as the forest dweller's bow, forest dweller's shield, forest dweller's spear, and forest dweller's sword. Additionally, the eponymous boomerang was originally a throwing weapon used by the Koroks, indicating that Koroks may have used these weapons in the past. Also, the boomerang is the only Korok-made weapon constructed with metal, though it is non-conductive and non-magnetic. It is unclear if the Koroks can eat or if they can what their diet consists of. However, at the Spore Store and General Shop, they sell mushrooms and cooking ingredients, indicating that they are aware of what Hylians eat. Presumably, this knowledge may have been passed down from the time when they were Kokiri, who presumably had a diet similar to other humanoid races such as the Hylians, humans, Gerudo, and Sheikah. Koroks are apparently really capable woodworkers and building with natural materials, as their Forest Dweller series weapons are pretty strong despite being made of wood and natural materials. Though they are rarely seen or encountered by Hylians, Koroks have a good relationship with the Hylian people, considering the weapons that they make and how friendly they are toward Link. However, Koroks are rarely seen interact with Hylians other than Link and other races, even though they may live around them secretly. Link is a special case given his heroic status and the fact that Koroks that know of his status respect him, presumably due to the influence of the adopted honorary Kokiri, the hero of time, and other heroes the Koroks may have encountered in their history. In fact, most that know treat him like an honored guest when he visits the Korok Forest. As Koroks wear no clothing, unlike their Kokiri ancestors, Hestu and presumably most Koroks are not bothered by Link walking around armorless, as Hestu even humorously encourages this behavior in a childish manner. This, however, fits with them being more at one with the natural world and differences in social customs regarding modesty. Most of the background Koroks in Korok Forest are shown to flee from Link when he walks near them, while the ones aware of Link's status as a champion and the chosen hero treat him with respect. It is also implied that they aided the Great Deku Tree in guarding the Master Sword until Link returned to claim it. Though the Kokiri are never mentioned directly in Breath of the Wild, Koroks are referred to as children of the forest, or simply forest kids, and are depicted as playful and childlike, much like the Kokiri, with one Korok playing hero while the others pretend to be monsters. The Korok playing hero defeats, which occurs during Deku Tree's description of the Trial of the Sword. Koroks also play games and pranks, though sometimes their pranks go too far, or come off as bullying, such as when a group of Koroks took Hestu's maracas and took out the instrument's Korok seeds before allowing monsters to take the maracas. However, bullying behavior is not unheard of among the Kokiri, as shown by Mito's childhood relationship with the Hero of Time, and most of the male Kokiri whom he tended to bully or boss around. Thus, the bullying of Hestu is not surprising due to his abnormally large size for a Korok, presumably causing him to be bullied for being so different much like the hero of time for his initial lack of a guardian fairy, as only the Deku Tree was aware he was an adopted Hylian orphan. Fortunately, Link comes to Hestu's assistance, and the Koroks that took the seeds decide to play with Link by hiding throughout Hyrule, rewarding him with Korok seeds he can trade to Hestu to expand his inventory. These Koroks shown have little fear of monsters, and can be found in extreme conditions from the freezing cold to volcanic areas. One would think the plant-like Koroks would not survive, but do. Some even are found in dangerous places no other race or person besides Link would dare to travel, such as Hyrule Castle and the Hyrule Castle town ruins. This contrasts with other Koroks in Korok Forest. However, it fits with the Great Deku Tree, Kokiri, and the Korok's association with the goddess of courage, Furore, as their courage resembles the hero Link, who is often viewed as the embodiment of the virtue of courage, given his association with the Triforce of courage. Koroks still associate with fairies despite no longer requiring guardian fairies, and fairies live atop the Great Deku Tree in Korok Forest. According to the Hylian child Enna, her male fairy friend told her about a big forest kid who can increase a person's inventory if one is nice to them, referring to Hestu. Given the accuracy of Enna's information, it is likely true, indicating fairies are aware of Hestu's ability, presumably through friendly relations with Koroks and fairies, which is likely influenced by their Kokiri ancestors bound with guardian fairies. However, there is one veiled reference to the Kokiri in the description of the trousers of time, which are said to have been made by people who made their home in the forest. Biology. Koroks have small bodies that are about the size of a young human child. These bodies appear to be made of wood, and their faces are marked by what are either leaf-like structures or masks of varying colors, shapes, and sizes. Due to their light frame, they can easily fly with the assistance of a special sprout on the tops of their heads that is used like a helicopter's dorsal propeller, though they are only capable of flying for a short period of time. In Breath of the Wild, Koroks are resilient as they can be found all over Hyrule and can endure a variety of conditions from the desert heat, cold, and even scorching volcanic temperatures of Death Mountain. Some Koroks, like Chio and Hestu, can be taller than Hylians like Link. According to Hestu, people cannot usually see Koroks. Link is a rare Hylian capable of seeing them. However, Tracy's Rumor Mill article on Koroks implies that the ability to see them may not be as rare as Hestu implies. Evolution. The Koroks were once the human-shaped Kokiri, but when Hyrule was transformed into the Great Sea, they took on a more plant-like appearance. The Great Deku Tree says in the game, "Once upon a time, long ago, the Koroks took on human forms, but when they came to live in the sea, they took on these shapes." Fadu, the Sage of Wind and a Kokiri, is closely connected to Makar, his replacement as a sage. Interestingly, the Kokiri never grew up, and the Great Deku Tree refers to the Koroks as "my cherished little children." The Koroks also have an optimistic, perhaps childlike disposition, a trait they share with the Kokiri. Similarly to the Kokiri, Koroks do not take lightly to the outsiders, and in many cases are afraid of them. Appearances: The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. The Koroks are first encountered by Link in Forest Haven, hiding in the branches of the Great Deku Tree. After Link defeats the Choo-Choo attacking the Great Deku Tree, he is introduced to the Koroks who come out of hiding. Aware that Ganondorf has returned, the Great Deku Tree agrees to give Link Farore's Pearl after the Korok ceremony. However, he is informed that the Korok Makar ended up... Is it Maker? Makar. I already started saying Makar, so we're saying Makar. Makar has ended up in the Forbidden Woods and asks Link to travel there and rescue him. After the Deku Tree gives Link the Deku Leaf, the Koroks help by teaching him how to fly with it and direct him to an area where he can jump off to fly to the Forbidden Woods. Link reaches the Forbidden Woods, which he is informed used to be home to the Koroks, but is now overrun by monsters. Link manages to rescue Makar, who has been swallowed by the plant monster Kale Demos. After rescuing Makar, Link is given Farore's Pearl following the Korok ceremony. Most of the Koroks leave to plant the seeds to grow forest trees on various islands across the Great Sea, while Makar and Hollow remain behind in Forest Haven with the Great Deku Tree. During his travels, Link learns that the forest trees planted by the Koroks are withering and require forest water to grow healthy. After meeting the ghost of the Kokiri wind sage Fedo, Link travels to Forest Haven and awakens Makar as the current Sage of Winds by conducting him to play the Wind God's aria. Link and Makar then travel to the Wind Temple in order to restore the power to repel evil to the Master Sword. Link defeats Mulgera, and the power to repel evil is restored to the Master Sword. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. In this game, there are numerous unnamed Koroks who can be found hiding all around Hyrule. In a similar way to a minigame, Link can try to find them by solving different sorts of puzzles, and obtain a Korok seed from each of them, which is similar in concept to hunting the gold Skulltula, or Impa Pose, or Imp Pose, though the Koroks are friendly NPCs instead of enemies. There are 900 Korok seeds to collect. However, as a result, Koroks appear all over Greater Hyrule, even in places few dare to venture to, such as the Great Plateau, Hyrule Castle, and Hyrule Castle Town ruins. This makes Koroks one of the most numerous races in all of Hyrule, along with the Hylians and Sheikah. Presumably their large numbers are due to Hyrule being a fertile land and full of forests and wildlife, compared to the Great Sea. During the Master Trials DLC in X Strange Mask Rumors, Link can obtain the Korok mask based on Makar, which detects hidden Koroks, making finding the Korok seeds easier. During the Priceless Maracas side quest, Link encounters Hestu, an abnormally large Korok taller than a Hylian. Surprised Link can see him, Hestu asks Link to recover the maracas, an instrument filled with Korok seeds. A group of Hestu's fellow Koroks took Hestu's maracas as a prank. Link is tasked with recovering them from a Bokoblin camp overlooking Lake Sila, next to the path leading to Kakariko village. However, upon returning them, Hestu discovers the Koroks removed the maracas' Korok seeds, preventing him from playing them. Hestu requests Link acquire the Korok seeds from the Koroks hiding throughout Hyrule. After he brings Hestu some seeds, he reveals he can expand Link's weapon, bow, and shield inventory. Hestu does this a few times before leaving to return to Korok Forest. Link encounters him several more times before Hestu finally reaches Korok Forest, where he remains. When Link discovers the Korok Forest after navigating the fabled Lost Woods, the home of the Koroks under the protection of the Great Deku Tree, he finds notable named Koroks who provide several quests, item shops, and Hestu. He also discovers the Koroks and Deku Tree have been guarding the legendary Master Sword since he was injured during the Great Calamity at the request of Princess Zelda herself. As a result, most of the named Koroks recognize Link as the Hylian champion and hero chosen by the Master Sword, causing them to refer to him respectfully as Mr. Hero. Acquiring all 900 Korok seeds, Hestu rewards Link with Hestu's gift, in recognition for his achievement, though it is simply a key item that acts as a trophy for collecting every Korok seed. Hestu's gift is based on the Kin no Unko, or Golden Poop, a good luck charm in Japan. Hestu's gift is stated to be a gift of friendship from Hestu that smells pretty bad. Equipment. The eponymous boomerang was originally developed by the forest-dwelling Koroks and are the only Korok-made weapons that incorporate metal. All other Korok armaments of the Forest Dweller series are made of wood and burn like all wooden armaments, though they are among some of the finest wood armaments in Hyrule, with the exception of the Dragonbone Boku and Dragonbone Moblin series. However, their strength is impressive considering their natural materials, showing the Koroks are expert carpentry and woodworking. For example, the Forest Dweller's shield is the strongest wooden shield in terms of defense and durability, that exceeds that of the Dragonbone Boku shield, which is reinforced with fossilized bone, and a soldier's shield, which is a non-conductive metal shield with a wooden core. This implies the Korok inherited their shield-making knowledge from their Kokiri ancestors, who once crafted unbreakable, as they could only be destroyed by fire or eaten by like-likes, yet still flammable Deku shields, allowing them to craft the best wooden shields. While it is implied Forest Dweller's swords are originally crafted for clearing vines and grass, they are as sharp as any metal blade and can even ironically cut down trees at the cost of reducing its durability. While the Dragonbone Boku Spear and Dragonbone Moblin Spear have greater attack power than the Forest Dweller's Spear, it outshines both by having superior durability thanks to its craftsmanship. The Forest Dweller's bow is a wooden multi-fire bow that can fire 3 arrows using only 1 arrow as ammunition, while in contrast the Yiga clan duplex bow can only fire 2. This puts the Forest Dweller's bow in the same category as the Great Eagle bow and 3 Lionel series bows, and it even outshines the standard Lionel bow in durability while being equal in durability to the mighty Lionel bow, with only the Savage Lionel bow and Great Eagle bow surpassing it in durability. This only speaks to the Korok's level of craftsmanship. Though not Korok-made, the Korok leaf is named after them as they appear commonly throughout Hyrule and create gusts of wind like the Deku leaf, though do so without the aid of magic power. Korok leaves function more like a tool for sailing rafts, though can be used as a makeshift weapon. The Korok mask is the only armor directly associated with the Koroks and is believed to house a spirit which reacts to hidden Koroks making adorable Korok-like sounds, indicating the mask's spirit may be that of a Korok, though this is an unconfirmed rumor. Nomenclature. The Koroks in The Wind Waker are named after types of trees. The name Korok is derived from Koropokoru, the little creatures that hide in butterbur plants in Japanese folklore. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker is an action-adventure game developed and published by Nintendo for the GameCube. An installment of the Legend of Zelda series, it was released in Japan on December 13, 2002, in North America on March 24, 2003, and in Europe on May 2, 2003. The game is set on a group of islands in a vast sea, a departure for the series. The player controls series protagonist Link as he attempts to save his sister from the sorcerer Ganon and becomes embroiled in a struggle for the Triforce, a sacred wish-granting relic. Aided by allies including pirate Captain Tetra and a talking sailboat named the King of Red Lions, Link sails the ocean, explores islands, and traverses dungeons to acquire the power necessary to defeat Ganon. Wind, which facilitates sailing, plays a prominent role and can be controlled with a magic conductor's baton called the Wind Waker. The Wind Waker was directed by Eiji Aonuma and produced by Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka. Development began in 2000. It retains the basic 3D gameplay of its predecessors, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, but the team chose to avoid the realistic graphics of the previous games. Instead, they implemented a distinctive cartoon-like art style created through cel shading. At its release, The Wind Waker received critical acclaim for its visuals, gameplay, level design, and music, and story. The art direction proved divisive amongst players and contributed to comparatively weak sales. The game sold 4.6 million copies, far below the 7.6 million sold by Ocarina of Time. As a result, Nintendo changed directions with the next major Zelda installment, the more realistically styled Twilight Princess. The Wind Waker's reputation improved over time, and with the retrospective analysis, it is now considered one of the greatest video games ever made. The Wind Waker popularized the Toon Link character and received 2 direct sequels for the Nintendo DS, the Phantom Hourglass from 2007 and Spirit Tracks from 2009. A high-definition digital remaster, The Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker HD, was released for the Wii U in September 2013. The game was re-released as a launch title for the Nintendo Switch 2 as part of Nintendo Classics service on June 5, 2025. The Wii U Wind Waker HD is the version that I am playing. Gameplay. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker is an action-adventure game with role-playing elements. The control scheme is comparable to its predecessors. The player moves the protagonist Link in 3 dimensions from a third-person perspective. Link fights with a sword and shield, as well as a variety of other weapons and items. He interacts with non-player characters, or NPCs, and objects via the action buttons. Like the previous games, The Wind Waker features a targeting system allowing Link to lock on and consistently face an enemy or target. A new feature is the ability to move the camera system around Link. On-screen meters track Link's health and magic. Link can expand his health meter by finding heart containers and container pieces in the game. The game world comprises 49 gridded sections of the Great Sea, which each contain an island or chain island, or island chain. Some must be explored to continue the story, while others are optional. Like all Zelda games, The Wind Waker features several dungeons, large enclosed areas where Link fights enemies, finds items, and solves puzzles to continue. Each dungeon quest concludes with a battle against a boss, a singularly powerful enemy. In addition to the main story, the game includes many side quests, minor objectives the player can optionally complete to attain rewards. For example, Link can use the Picto Box, an in-game camera, to take pictures to fulfill quests. Throughout the game, Link acquires items and weapons that provide new abilities. Items are often needed to reach certain areas, defeat bosses or other enemies, and advance the story. For example, the grappling hook is necessary to pass obstacles and defeat the boss in the Dragon Roost Cavern dungeon. It can then be used to enter previously inaccessible areas elsewhere. The Tingle Tuner is a special item allowing a second player to control the character Tingle if the system is connected to a Game Boy Advanced via a link cable. Wind and sailing. A significant portion of the game is spent sailing between islands on Link's boat, the King of Red Lions. The boat's sail is driven by wind that blows across the game world in one of 8 directions. A tailwind behind the boat will give it a top speed, while sailing against the wind is difficult. The Great Sea features enemies and obstacles different from those found on land. Additionally, some items serve new purposes while Link is aboard the King of Red Lions. The grappling hook, for example, serves as a crane for recovering sunken treasure. Link explores the sea with the help of a sea chart, which can be updated with information on each square and island. Through the game, Link acquires additional charts pointing the way to treasure chests and significant locations. On land, dungeons feature similar maps. Early in the game, Link receives the Wind Waker, a baton which allows him to control the wind and harness other powers by conducting specific melodies. The player controls the Wind Waker by moving the joypads to change pitch and time signature. The first melody, the Wind's Requiem, enables Link to change the wind's direction, allowing him to sail anywhere. Link can learn 5 other tunes for the Wind Waker, which provide abilities such as warping to other regions and turning night into day. Synopsis, background, and setting. According to the Legend of Zelda Hyrule Historia, Nintendo's official Legend of Zelda chronology, The Wind Waker takes place in the New World timeline, one of several parallel timelines in which Zelda games are set following the events of Ocarina of Time. The game follows the adult Link timeline after Link, the hero of time, defeats Ganon and time travels back to his childhood. A crisis emerges when Ganon returns, but Link does not. Centuries later, the people live on islands in the Great Sea. They preserve Link's story as a legend, but his kingdom's fate becomes unknown. The main character, a young boy also named Link, lives on Outset Island, where boys dress in green like the hero of time when they come of age. Plot. While Link is celebrating his coming of age, a gigantic bird drops pirate captain Tetra onto Outset Island's forest. Link rescues Tetra from monsters, but the bird carries off Link's little sister, Errol. Tetra agrees to help Link find his sister, and they sail to the Forsaken Fortress where the bird, the Helmarok King, has been taking girls with long ears. Link finds Errol and other kidnapped girls, but the Helmarok king captures him and takes him to a man in black, who orders Link thrown into the sea. Link is rescued at Windfall Island by a sentient sailboat, the King of Red Lions, who explains that the bird's master is a returned Ganon. To defeat him, Link must find the Hero of Time's power, which requires the 3 pearls of the goddesses. Link finds Din's Pearl on Dragon Roost Island, home of the avian Ritu and the dragon Valu. Farore's Pearl in Forest Haven, home of the Great Deku Tree and the plant-like Koroks, and Nehru's Pearl with the water spirit Jabon on Otsat Island. The King of Red Lions then takes Link to the Tower of the Gods, where he faces trials before descending beneath the ocean to a castle suspended in time. Here, Link finds the Hero of Time's weapon, the Master Sword. Link returns to the Forsaken Fortress. Tetra's crew arrive and rescue the girls, but Ganon easily overpowers Link and Tetra. The Master Sword has lost its power. Ganon recognizes Tetra's Triforce necklace and realizes that she is the incarnation of the Princess Zelda he was seeking. Link's Ritu allies and Valu save Link and Tetra from Ganon. The King of Red Lions brings the two back to the underwater realm, explaining that it is the legendary kingdom of Hyrule, which the goddesses submerged long ago to contain Ganon while the people fled to the mountaintops. The King of Red Lions reveals himself to be Daphne's Nohansen Hyrule, the last king of Hyrule, and Tetra is his heir, Zelda, keeper of the Triforce of Wisdom. Tetra remains in the castle while Link and the king journey to the 2 sages who provided the Master Sword's power. They discover Ganon's forces murdered them both, so Link must awaken the new sages, the Ritu Medley and the Korok Makar, and guide them through the earth and wind temples. The sages restore the Master Sword, but the king learns that Ganon has abandoned the Forsaken Fortress and fears an attack. They then track down the 8 shards of the missing Triforce of Courage, once kept by the Hero of Time, and the gods recognize Link as the Hero of Winds. Link and the king return to Hyrule to discover that Ganon has captured Tetra. Link follows them to Ganon's tower, defeating Ganon's minions before Ganon overcomes him. Ganon joins Link and Tetra's Triforce pieces with his own Triforce of power, forming the complete Triforce, which will grant his wish to rule the world. Before he can act, the King of Hyrule appears and wishes that the goddess wash Ganon and Hyrule away, and Link and Tetra hope for their own future. Link and Tetra battle Ganon with the Master Sword and magical arrows as water pours around them. With the final blow, the Master Sword turns Ganon to stone. Link and Tetra rise to the surface as the king and Hyrule are submerged. After reunited with their friends, the heroes sail off to find new land. Development. Nintendo's Zelda team initiated plans for a new game early in the development of the GameCube system, before Majora's Mask was completed for the Nintendo 64 in 2000. Eiji Aonuma, director of Majora's Mask, returned to helm the project, while Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka, the creators of the Zelda series, served as the producers. Early concepts generally followed Ocarina of Time's design, with the graphics enhanced for the new system's capabilities. The team hastily created a brief clip of Link fighting Ganondorf for a demonstration at the 2000 Space World Exposition, where Nintendo announced the GameCube. The clip resonated with fans and commentators who hoped it previewed the next Zelda game. The Zelda team, however, had exhausted its ideas for this style and format. Aonuma hated the demo, finding it derivative of past Zelda games. the team explored other directions until designer Yoshiki Haruhana created a cartoonish drawing of a young Link that caught their eye. Design manager Satoru Takezawa drew up an enemy moblin in a similar style, and the team seized on the new gameplay and combat possibilities afforded by the stylized cartoon aesthetic. To achieve this look, they used cell shading on 3D models, giving the look of an interactive cartoon. The developers built the game with Alias Wavefront's Maya 3D tool and custom game engine. Aonuma initially kept the development quiet as he worried that Miyamoto would take issue with the cartoon style. With this decision, development proceeded swiftly. The team quickly decided the setting would be on islands in an ocean, determining it would provide interesting visuals and mechanics in the cel-shaded variety. This, in turn, inspired the central sailing feature. As Aonuma predicted, some features drew skepticism from producers Miyamoto and Tezuka. For instance, they requested an explanation for the character's exaggeratedly large eyes. Aonuma's team jokingly suggested that having Link shoot beams from his eyes before deciding to have him focus his gaze on significant objects nearby, giving hints to observant players about what to do next. Miyamoto remained dubious of the art direction and reminded Aonuma that it was not too late to change course. Ultimately, Miyamoto relented due to the team's enthusiasm about the cartoon style and the fact that it could have taken a decade to make a more realistic Zelda with their resources. Nintendo presented a demo clip of the new game at the 2001 Space World. Response to the cel-shaded design was divided. While some attendees enjoyed the new look, there was backlash from disappointed fans who would have hoped for a more realistic Zelda like the previous year's demo. Critics derisively dubbed the game Zelda. Miyamoto was surprised at the response and decided to limit revealing further information about the game until the team finished a playable demonstration, hoping it would shift focus from the graphics to the gameplay. Miyamoto introduced a playable demo at the next year's Electronic Entertainment Expo, E3, alongside another upcoming Zelda title for the GameCube, Four Swords Adventures. Miyamoto encountered glitches while he attempted to demonstrate Link's new ability to use enemies' dropped weapons. However, reception was more positive than that for the Space World demo. The game received the 2002 Game Critics Awards for Best Console Game at E3. IGN editor Fran Mirabella said that the cartoon look works very nicely and that it feels very much like Zelda. The whimsical style was compared to A Link to the Past and promotional artwork from previous Zelda games. The E3 demo was also introduced new features, such as the ability to connect to the Game Boy Advance and receive help from Tingle. However, the art direction continued to divide audiences. Development continued through late 2002, with targeted release dates of December in Japan and early 2003 in North America. During the final stages, 2 dungeons that fell behind schedule were cut and replaced with a quest to recover Triforce pieces around the Great Sea. Elements of these dungeons were recycled for later Zelda games. On October 15, 2002, Nintendo revealed the game's Japanese subtitle, Kaze no Takuto, or Wind Baton, to emphasize the role of wind in the game. The company announced the English title, The Wind Waker, on December 2nd the same year. In the gap between the Japanese and North American releases, the designers reworked some of the segments, notably shortening the lengthy Triforce quest. Music. The music in The Wind Waker was composed by Kenta Nagata, Hajime Wakai, Toru Minagishi, and Koji Kondo. The sound team was significantly larger than for other contemporary projects to accommodate Nintendo's desire for high caliber work in the rushed development schedule. Koji Kondo, the primary composer for the Legend of Zelda series, contributed to the score but did not serve as the sound director. However, the score incorporated some of his pieces from other older Legend of Zelda games, modifying them to emphasize the time passed between the stories. The soundtrack is primarily environmental. It modulates between various tracks depending on location, time, and other conditions. Much of the score is inspired by traditional Irish music and is overall lighter and more upbeat than previous scores in the series. The advancement of MIDI technology allowed the soundtrack to more closely approximate the sounds of real instruments than was possible in previous installments. The score features strings, winds, brass, percussion, and wordless vocals. The vocals were especially prominent in the tunes Link conducts with the Wind Waker, singing in D major. Shigeru Miyamoto reportedly played the mandolin featured in the title theme. Skitron Digital Content released a 2-disc, 133-track soundtrack album, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker Original Soundtracks, on March 19, 2003. The Wind Waker HD. In 2013, Nintendo developed a high-definition re-release of The Wind Waker, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD, for the Wii U. The inspiration came when staff converted elements from various games to explore the system's capabilities while planning for Breath of the Wild. The developers experimented with several Zelda games, but were especially struck by how well the Wind Waker translated into high definition. When the team determined it would take less than a year to remaster the entire game, Aonuma approached Miyamoto about developing it. He faced considerable reluctance from the management due to players' mixed response in 2003, but Miyamoto ultimately greenlit development as Nintendo staff had found that opinions of the game had warmed over the years. Aonuma served as producer while Daiki Iwamoto served as director. The soundtrack was updated by Kenta Nagata, Hajime Wakai, Asuka Hayazaki, and Atsuko Atsuhai. While the game was developed in-house at Nintendo Entertainment Analysis and Development, high-resolution textures were produced with the help of a few external companies. The entire project took 6 months to develop. The Wind Waker HD features high-definition graphics and improved lighting. The Wii U gamepad's touchscreen serves as a map and inventory, eliminating the need to toggle between gameplay and menu interface. Players can use motion controls to control the Wind Waker. Some weapons, like the bow, can be aimed using the gamepad's gyroscope, as in Ocarina of Time 3D. The game supports off-TV play, which enables the player to play the game solely on the Wii U gamepad. The game can also be played on the Wii U Pro Controller, a controller similar to the one used in the original game. The developers made some changes to the gameplay as well. They introduced a new item, the Swift Sail, allowing for faster sailing on the Great Sea. They also streamlined the Triforce Quest, improved the Picto Box, and replaced the Tingle Tuner, which had required connectivity with the Game Boy Advance, with a Tingle Bottle, an item that connects to the Miiverse service prior to its shutdown on November 8, 2017. Later reputation. The Wind Waker has continued to be acclaimed by critics. It has appeared in various lists of the best video games, including those compiled by Electronic Gaming Monthly, Nintendo Power, and IGN. Nintendo Power named The Wind Waker the fourth best game to ever appear on a Nintendo console, while Official Nintendo Magazine placed it 12th. Nintendo Power listed its ending as one of the greatest in Nintendo history due to the final battle's climax. Yugo listed The Wind Waker on their list of top 50 games that belong on the 3DS. In a retrospective on the GameCube, IGN named The Wind Waker the fourth best game to ever be released for the system. Nintendo Power named The Wind Waker the second best GameCube game of all time, only behind Resident Evil 4. Later pieces have noticed that The Wind Waker's divisive reputation among fans improved over time, and that it has come to be seen as a classic. Several writers have said that the game and its stylized aesthetics aged very well, whereas contemporary games with more realistic graphics often became outdated. The graphics that initially divided the opinion have become a favorite feature. Some former skeptics have written about revising their initial opinions. Nintendo representatives described this turnaround as a particularly dramatic example of the Zelda cycle, in which fans' negative responses to Zelda games improve over time. In 2013, Keza McDonald of IGN wrote that The Wind Waker has outlived its initial reception and became popularly considered among the very best of the Zeldas. I received this building block set as a gift and built it before the partnership between Legend of Zelda with LEGO. I have also received a couple of other Legend of Zelda off-brand sets that were gifted to me by friends and family. Keep watching for the LEGO Legend of Zelda Deku Tree to compare the builds. Building this set did not come with a lot of the quality of life upgrades that I've come to expect from building so many Legos. Honestly, this set builds much like many no-name sets. The pieces are not as smooth-fitting, but I have them encased on a top shelf for display only. When I had them on an open shelf, pieces would fall off every time I had to dust them. I chose The Wind Waker to play because it is the first time we are introduced to the Koroks. It is also one of my favorite Legend of Zelda games. The Legend of Zelda is my favorite game franchise, and I remember beating the first game of the series while I was recovering from having my wisdom teeth removed in high school. Total build time today, 2 hours, 54 minutes, 17 seconds. Unfortunately, during our gameplay, we did not get to the Koroks in the Forest Haven because I spent too much time forgetting exactly how to deal with the Forbidden Fortress. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Remember to like, subscribe, share, ring that bell, all the things for the YouTubes. Thank you.